I'll give you a history of far infrared saunas and saunas in the world. And I'll talk about what it does, why it's necessary, and what it does, and how it can improve the quality of your life. So my name is Philip Wilson. I have what qualifies me to talk about far infrared saunas. I have a degree in mathematics. Hi, come on in.
I apologize, we left something at the podium.
Yes, like this thing?
Yes, and the package of you.
Oh.
I sincerely apologize for
You really want that? Not a problem. I'm very accommodating. So I'll start over, why not? My name is Philip Wilson. There's a band called Wilson Phillips. I gave them permission to use that name. They have a famous song called Hold On, right? That's one of their most famous songs. And I'm Philip Wilson, and I say let go. So when you go in the Relax Sauna, which Frank's bringing here in a little bit, and a few of you can try it. When you go in the sauna, you'll see that you are letting go and letting things be, like the Beatles said, "Let it be." And I got into spirituality in 1971, or actually 1970, unbeknownst to me, when I had an out-of-body experience that I didn't even know I had for a couple years. Later on, I had a Kundalini awakening experience, which was very evident to me because I couldn't eat anything without feeling I was on Thorazine, which I've never taken, but I've seen people who are on Thorazine and they walk like a zombie. And so I experienced, actually, my first out-of-body experience is I felt like I was a zombie because I went through some emotional trauma over a girlfriend finding another boyfriend. And that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it awakened me. And when it awakened me, I touched, something from which once you drink, you never thirst again. And so I was now on a quest that I didn't know it. I was a thinker becoming a feeler. And when you go into the Relax Sauna, you feel it. And people walk away sometimes from the booth and say, I'll think about this. And I say, well, don't forget to remember how good it felt. Because this is what it's all about. It's all about far infrared energy. Okay, now I opened up a health food store in 1980 because of the Kundalini experience. I couldn't eat anything. I had to pretty much eat dates, figs, and cashews for 80% of my diet. In order to function in this world, I was meditating and doing yoga for 6 hours every morning before I felt good enough to go out into the world. So this is some of my history that made me very sensitive. So when I opened up a health food store and distributing to other health professionals and other health food stores, I was one of the first distributors to sell medicinal mushrooms, green powders, Chinese herbal formulas, essential oils, flower remedies, and oxygen products. And we were selling about 100 different massage tools. Well, in 2001, after doing a biological dentist conference in Las Vegas, the next day there was a spa show. And I went to it because why not? And it was, I had a day extra. And there was one of my massage tool suppliers with a portable sauna. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe you can have a sauna in your home. I mean, that's like, a little boy on Christmas Day, even though I was born Jewish, but at the same time, I don't care about anything. I don't believe anything. There's nothing I'm not willing to believe. That's about flexibility, and Phil starts with a fuzz sauna, so there's flexibility. So sometimes I call myself Flexible Phil. So at any rate, I do have fun when I do things because I think that's very, very important. We have a sign at the Relax Sauna booth 40, and it says, brings joy. And Joy showed up one day and says, here I am. I said, well, I guess it does really bring joy. But what we're here to do is to educate you about the wondrous benefits that far infrared energy can afford you in far infrared saunas. There's quite a famous book called Detoxify or Die by Dr. Sherry Rogers. And she spawned the far infrared sauna industry with her book that came out in 2001, 2002. She's an environmental medical doctor, and people with multi-chemical sensitivities and environmental problems came to her, left for dead by the medical establishment. And here at this conference, we know that the medical establishment and the pharmaceutical industry are very limited in what they can do because they're not listening. They're not listening to their bodies, they're not listening to their patients. But that's incidentally, I don't know if you knew this, but when you listen to your heart or your inner guidance, and some people call that God, that's called God listening. Well, let's shorten it. Let's abbreviate it and call it G-listening. Now let's take the hyphen out. It's called glistening. So when you listen to God, you start to glisten. And when people go in the Relax Sauna, they start to glow. It's because when you open your heart, either unconsciously or consciously, miracles can happen. Dr. John Christopher, the famous herbalist, who was not allowed to practice medicine because the medical establishment didn't like him healing people, he had to teach. And because of that, he taught herbalism to thousands, and because of that, the world is really familiar. So a lot of times when you try to pound something and push it under, it becomes a lot larger. So I'm in love with the process of how life works in this world, and to me that's what I call being in love with the process of how life works. I call that loving God, and even an atheist can buy that, and that's what I like, universal truths, that people can live by. So when I saw this sauna, at that time I was going through my Baroque period. That's the period before the classical period, or when you have no money. And so it took me a year to be, a year later I was able to afford to buy it wholesale. And it was like a portable sauna. It looked really nice. It had a camp chair in it. And I took it out and sat on the floor. And it took me 18 minutes to start sweating and 55 minutes to feel like I had a good sweat. Yes?
I'm sorry, just real quick. Did you sell it at the Green Show?
Yes, we were at the Green Show many, many years ago. Yes.
I just wanted to
Yes.
I remember meeting you.
Right. And so a year later, so I sold 6 saunas that first year, and then I get a call from Taiwan, from Mandy, and her father is the one who invented, it took 10 years, from 1987 to 1997, for them to find a way to give you pure far infrared light and filter out the near infrared and filter out the mid infrared and only give you the far infrared light that resonated with our water molecules. And that's magic. That's the magic frequency wavelength between 7 and 14 microns, and we'll talk about that later. But Mandy called me up on the phone and said, hey, our sauna's technology is way more advanced than any other sauna. I saw you had, because I go on and on and on, I had about 15, 20 pages on one page of information on this other sauna. So she was sent to San Diego University to get an education by her dad, and then she had to go work for the company, and she was told you need to sell a sauna, otherwise you're fired. So, she called me up, and I said, okay, how much is it? She told me. I said, fine, send it. It showed up 2 days later. Everyone at my office, at my store, they said, my gosh, night and day difference. So I thought it was a little bit better than the other saunas. We were selling for $6.95 back then. The other cheap saunas were selling for $5.95. And now they're selling for $250, and we're selling for $1,500. So we were way underpriced, and they were overpriced. And when you go into the Relax Sauna, you notice that you truly feel loved. It's a warm, loving, soft light. I call it loving light. What my science director calls it resonating far infrared light. See, as Dr. Sherry Rogers talks about in her book, Detoxify or Die, we vibrate. We are far infrared light beings. We send off far infrared light between 3 and 50 microns but mainly at 9.4 microns. Water is a far infrared molecule. It vibrates at 8 microns. That's the wavelength. Now, Daniel Brinkley says we are spiritual light beings. And I said, yes, we are spiritual far infrared light beings. We shine far infrared light. And snakes can see our light. As a matter of fact, we were at a conference about 4 or 5 years ago, and next to us was a snake communicator, and she and her 2 snakes got in the sauna, and they gave us a 26-minute interview, and so we are the only sauna. The Relax Sauna is the only sauna that is endorsed by snakes. Just thought I'd let you know that, you know, one of our perks, you know. But at any rate, the snakes can see infrared light. The snake said, hey, this light is so much better than the ones in our cage. Both of them said that. But they can see rodents and frogs at night, and that's how they see their prey. So if you would go into the Relax Sauna, and if you could see far infrared light like the snake, you'd say, my gosh, this is blinding. It's 10 times brighter than the light of any other sauna. See, it's not the heat that does anything in an infrared sauna. It's the light. And I've been saying that for years, and I remember once being in my sauna, and I was getting really hot because I didn't drink water, and I was getting dehydrated, and I was feeling miserable. And then I said, oh yeah, it's not the heat, it's the light. So I unzipped it, and I was fine. Then I drank some water, and all of a sudden, as soon as I did that, water started pouring out of both sides of my head. And it is like just, you know, because it wanted to come out. So anyway, a little history about far infrared saunas. Now, Rebecca Harder has a book called Gastra Girl. She's a colon hydrotherapist, and she created about a 200-page book that she gives to her clients. She also has a hyperbaric oxygen chamber conference in New Mexico, not conference, but place in New Mexico, and a colonic therapy place in Portland, Oregon. So she says that if you want to feel fabulous in the 21st century, a far infrared sauna is an absolute necessity. This was not true in the 60s, but in the 60s we don't have the toxins that we have now. We don't have we didn't have glyphosate back then. We didn't have chemtrails back then. And a whole lot of god-awful things, you know, we didn't have back then, but we have now. And so Doris Rapp wrote a book called Our Toxic World, and it's gotten worse. The water is toxic, the air is toxic, the soil is not so good, and even the sunlight, you know, is not the same. By the way, you do not get cancer from the sun. You know, I think Laura Day, I'm not sure about her first name, but Dr. Day, many years ago said, we get cancer when we're in the sun and we eat toxic food, we eat junk food. Only then, anyone who eats super good health food does not get cancer from the sun. It's the sun's relationship with the toxic food in your body that causes skin cancer. So there's a lot of misconceptions, misbeliefs. Frankly, I don't believe anything, and there's nothing I'm not willing to believe. Now, when you look at the word belief, there's a signature to it. B-E-L-I-E-F. Every belief is a lie. Every belief is a lie. It's a half-truth, because beliefs are like, you know, step stools that get you to see, the whole idea is to not have any beliefs, to be not for or against anything, because anytime you're for or against anything, you lock yourself into duality and exile you from the God consciousness state. So and we get into so much trouble by believing stuff, like people who believe that the vaccines were safe and effective, got in a lot of trouble. And if you're vaccine injured, I have a solution for you. Not a total solution, but it can certainly give a reprieve. We have 3 different people I know for sure, 2 nurses who were vaccine injured, got into the Relax Sauna at a conference about a year ago, and both cried because the one had feeling in her fingers for the first time in 2.5 years, and the other could feel the circulation from her foot to her hip for the first time in 2.5 years. I've seen, out of putting about 150,000 people in the last 21 years in the Relax Sauna, I've seen about 25 to 30,000 minor or major miracles. It is truly an amazing experience to watch 50% to 100% of a person's pain go away in 5 minutes almost every time without sweating. And so why is this special, and what about all the other infrared saunas? And what about the wooden infrared saunas? When Sherry Rogers wrote her book, she was talking about the wooden infrared saunas. Now, the Mayo Clinic said in 2004, heart patients should not go into a finished sauna. They should not go into a hot tub because the heart has to race to find an equilibrium between their body temperature and the outside temperature. Far infrared saunas, however, they recommended highly as very therapeutic. See, when you go into an infrared sauna, it increases your body temperature. Now, what it does, when you go into a far infrared sauna, like the Relax Sauna, especially with 100% of our energy, resonates with the water molecules. Now, what that means is the water molecules will start to vibrate and spin. And according to a physicist, she told me that increases the voltage of the water molecule. Therefore, if that happens and all your water molecules are dancing, and hence all the cells of your body are dancing, that's going to increase your body temperature. And what did Hippocrates say? I'm sure you all know this. I'm sure they taught you this in 7th grade. He said, find me a way to create fever and sweat, it was the same Greek word, and I will cure you of any disease. That's profound. In other words, if I can give you a fever, I can cure any disease. If that's true, and I don't believe anything, then we have a solution. And frankly, the only cure for cancer is hyperthermia. There's a hospital called St. George Hospital in Germany. They get the temperature up to 104, 105 degrees and it kills everything, parasites and everything. And they have sophisticated equipment that doesn't let the body get to 107 or 108 degrees, because if it does, the body dies, and that defeats the whole purpose. I enjoy humor. I have this thing. I give people at the booth. I say, now when you go home, you put this on your refrigerator, and then when you order the sauna, then you're allowed to take it down. And very few people laugh. But anyway. So anyway, as you are seeing, Relax Sauna just takes 2-3 minutes to set up. A number of you have already been in it. So the far infrared saunas were created in the 60s. They started doing research in Japan and Germany. And the Relax Sauna was created in 1997. It's one of the earlier ones. There are hundreds of articles on PubMed.com about the research done in far infrared saunas. This is a book that came out recently by a lady who makes far infrared infused jewelry, and she's been using the Relax Sauna for 2 years. It's called Infrared Illuminated. There's about 100 articles in here referenced, 150, not articles, but research papers. She promotes the Relax Sauna 2 or 3 times in the book as the one she uses. It's a good one, and it's called Infrared Illuminated. It's $27 on Amazon. It's $20 at my booth if you want to get one. Her name is Ariel Callista Miller. It's on the literature on, I think one of those pieces of literature it's on. The Relax Sauna is something that I've been promoting for 21 years. I started using saunas when I was 16. I always loved them. I love sweating. It energizes me. I feel incredible. The difference between the Relax Sauna and other saunas is like if you live 4 miles from a grocery store and someone gives you a bicycle, man, you are so excited. Yeah, you have trouble bringing the groceries back with you, but you manage. Someone gives you a motorcycle, it's a little bit easier. Someone gives you a Chevy Chevette, it's a little bit, you can take the groceries home, it's not that luxurious. Someone gives you a Relax Sauna, that's like a Mercedes. So all the saunas, no matter what it is, even the finished saunas, they're all going to help you. They're all helpful. You know, vitamin C, 100 milligrams is going to be good. 1 gram is going to be a whole lot better. Turmeric with lots of curcumin in it is going to be a lot better than turmeric with not very much curcumin in it. Curcumin is the active ingredient. There's something called a full spectrum sauna. They rave about it. We're full spectrum. That's like saying, well, you know, the near infrared only penetrates 2 millimeters. The mid infrared penetrates about the same. The far infrared penetrates 40 to 50 millimeters. So to brag about having a full spectrum infrared, which means the same as infrared, is akin to misinformation and disinformation. You know, and it's misleading, but that's okay. That's part of what I have to deal with. You know, like what Rebecca Harder went to, you know, who wrote the book Gastra, and now uses the Relax Sauna, and has helped us sell hundreds of thousands, maybe thousands or more of the Relax Sauna just through her book. For 10 years, she'd walk by this and says, I have a wooden sauna. She just turns her nose and goes on. It certainly couldn't do what a wooden sauna does. You know, I mean, this cell phone couldn't possibly do what a desktop computer did 20 years ago, right? So perception is everything, or perception is certainly a lot. Anyway, after 10 years of turning her nose, in 2016, she had a few minutes, so she got in, and after 3 minutes, she was sold on it. Because when you go in there, you experience loving light. And I told that to a doctor. What is this? I said, it's loving light. And he said, you know, I'm a doctor. Can you give me a little bit more sophisticated information? I went on to explain that if the Relax Sauna increases core body temperature significantly more than any other sauna, because you know we get the water molecule to pulsate, increases the body temperature, fulfills the dream of Hippocrates, find me a way to treat fever and I will cure disease, and it's loving light. And when you increase body temperature, that's the magic where I don't have to make any claims. All it says is it increases body temperature. When you research what does increasing body temperature do, well, you know, when you increase the temperature of water, more salt can get dissolved, right? And I've heard people talk at naturopathic doctor conventions, when you increase your body temperature 1 degree only, you're going to increase your ability to absorb nutrients 20%. And that's magical. So when you increase body temperature, that's exciting, because that's when the magic happens. That's when you mobilize the lymphatic system, get the toxins out of the body. You birth, or you get the lymphocytes, the white blood cells, out of hibernation. They come to do their action, and you get the toxins out of the body. You increase circulation. Okay, that lowers blood pressure, gets rid of inflammation, gets rid of pain, and actually gets rid of scar tissue. You oxygenate the body. The Relax Sauna research shows that we can increase muscle oxygen 45%. 45% in I don't know how many, 20 minutes. No other sauna can probably increase it more than 20%. And this is amazing. So when you increase the oxygen in the body, you're going to kill the anaerobic bacteria. You're going to basically kill parasites a lot of times, Lyme disease. We go to Lyme disease conventions, cancer conferences. We have 16 testimonies about people with Lyme disease. On our YouTube channel, we have 800 testimonial interviews on YouTube. I don't know any other sauna company that has more than 20, 30 testimonies, and some not that many. And a lot of times, companies will say, here's what the research says in foreign foot saunas, and here's our sauna. No research on it. And frankly, this guy posted on reddit.com in 2017, February, saying he was so excited about the research on infrared saunas and far infrared saunas that he went and bought an Amazon sauna for $200, and he tested it, raised body temperature 0.5 degree in 25 minutes. Wait a second. Then he tested the heart rate variability. It totally failed to do what the research says it should do. So they say, here's the research on far infrared saunas, and here's our sauna. By the way, I want you to know that a far infrared sauna, it's not a sauna. It's an energy medicine device. It's an energetics device. Did you know that a prairie dog's not a dog? Someone told me the other day that a hot dog is not a dog either. I didn't know that. Did you know that if you call a koala bear a bear in Australia, that you could get lynched? Yeah. And a seahorse is certainly not a horse, and a sea lion's not a lion. So, you know, this one lady, a massage therapist in Dallas, said, my landlord won't let me have a sauna. I said, well, you're okay, because a fire infrared sauna is not a sauna. but at any rate, far infrared saunas work with energetic medicine, with loving light or a light. It's a light energy device, and we give you the far infrared light that resonates with our bodies, and only that. We've been tested at LA Polytechnic University. For 60 minutes, every single frequency of light was between 7 and 14 microns. We just sent the Relax Sauna and a portable sauna that sells for $1,200 to this institute in Massachusetts, a university physics department. Again, all of our energy is between 7 and 14 microns, and the other sauna, 8 to 11% of their energy was between that. But he said, Phil, that doesn't matter. Your sauna pushes the light into the cells, and yours is 3 times more potent than their sauna. Who's next? You were already in there. you can ask me a question though.
We'd be grateful.
No, I'm good. I still remember it was around 2005 or 6.
Yes, Jamie was there, yeah.
Just picked up the sauna a year or 2 earlier. I'm not sure, but I remember the whole thing. I was like, oh, Dan, I remember the price.
You should have gotten it then, yeah. You could
Is
have
the
gotten it.
technology much different?
No,
today?
it's the same exact technology.
But I think you had a lamp with them.
We still have a lamp. Yeah, we set our booth.
Okay.
We have the $300 table lamp, and we have the $1,400 professional model lamp.
Okay, so that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I don't want to interrupt.
That's okay, yeah. So, at any rate, so also, the most exciting thing about what increasing body temperature does, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And that gets you into the now, okay? When you get into the now, it turns out there's no pain. I have a definition, a new definition, quasi-definition of pain. It's the awareness of time. So, have you ever hurried? Have you ever worried? Have you ever waited? Those are painful activities. Anxiety is a painful activity. All those are related to time. So when you get into the relaxed sauna and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, you get outside of time. And that's why it gets rid of pain. So it also gets you tuned in. It's like when you're meditating, you get to that sweet spot, and then all of a sudden you feel energized, because when you activate the parasympathetic and you get into relaxed point, the mitochondria are now ready to create energy. And that's why Angela in Las Vegas, who's a detox specialist, said, I use the Relax. I get revitalized. I gave away my $1,200 portable sauna. You know, it left me de-energized. I gave away my higher dose blanket. You know, I only use the Relax. You know how they call it Kleenex tissues? I said I want a Kleenex, and they give me some other brand. So the Relax, this is the Relax. Now, did you know that when they build houses in the future, they're going to start with the Relax sauna, then put the washing machine in, then the stove and the refrigerator? They're going to build houses around it. See, this is why when I say when you get a Relax sauna in your house, it will transform it into a home, because where there's a home, there's a hearth, a place of warmth. You know how a washing machine works? The water goes through the clothes, which are solid, and it cleans every fiber and cleanses it and gets all the dirt out. Well, the Relax sauna, or any fire infrared sauna, the light goes through the solid body and resonates with the water, with all the cells in your body, and cleanses it. And now the nutrients can come in, because the mercury isn't in the way, and the lead isn't in the way of magnesium. Yes?
I'm suffering from adrenal fatigue. How would the Relax sauna help?
Well, by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. you get into a relaxed state, and then the adrenal just lets go. You know,
I mean, too much of a relaxed state, adrenals are not making cortisol.
right, and then what happens is once you get into a relaxed state, the mitochondria will create ATP and nitric oxide. Now we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee all the time, any day of the week, you know, even on Tuesdays. Incidentally, people go in the sauna and they say, I want to put my head in. I give slouching lessons every Tuesday at 3 p.m. In 6th grade, they told you not to slouch, but I'm teaching you how to slouch. Now, I don't have to slouch because I'm sort of short. But see, when you move your butt up a little bit early, you know, closer to the front, then your head will fit in, you can put it underneath.
So it's okay to have your head in there if you feel.
Yeah, I like it. Half the time my head is in.
So they designed.
No one said I couldn't.
They designed it without because of that was their
Oh,
preference.
you have no clue how many women and some men don't go into wooden saunas because they don't want to get their hair messed up, or it gets too hot, they can't breathe.
Okay.
So it's a real great benefit. In Ayurvedic medicine, they don't like to get the head hot, you know, because then they call them hotheads. Yes.
Can you actually explain the parasympathetic?
See, the flight or fight is the sympathetic, and parasympathetic is relax and rest and rebuild.
Oh, I see.
So it gets you into, so when you go into the sauna, you start melting. See, it gets you where you can hear. It's like you get out of the way. So you can hear and listen and tune into the divine. That's why I say it feels like your grandma's giving you a loving hug. Or you feel like you're surrounded by divine love. And the other two things you feel like is you feel like you're in a beach in Hawaii or some tropical paradise, or you're in the front of a person giving you unconditional love like a great guru or a qigong master. But the commonality of all the four of those things, basking in divine love, being hugged by your loving grandma or the grandmother you always wished you had, is unconditional love. And that's what far infrared is. See, far infrared energy between 4 and 14 microns is the same energy you emit. You emit 9.4 microns. And if I could see your light, I mean, you know, and then of course we all have different octaves of that light, and so those who are spiritually unfolded will be generating that same frequency, not a different octave. But, and that's why people say, oh, your aura is real big or whatever. But basically, all humans, it's like there's a spectrometer for, like, you can take lavender essential oil or essential oil and you can test it and you can see that that's the signature of lavender, that's the signature of cedar wood, okay? So basically, if you can get the same vibration rate. Now the far infrared energy that comes from the sun resonates with the water in plants and gives the plant the power to move and to bend. Gerald Pollack mentioned that, and he's the one that wrote The Fourth Phase of Water, and it turns out the far infrared energy increases the easy zone water, which is the fourth phase where nothing can be dissolved in it. It's pure water. And that's why the far infrared energy, it cleanses the water, cleanses the debris, it gets rid of the gunk, it gets rid of the dross. Okay, you've got emotionally, mentally, you go in there and you feel all that dross gone. Like when you meditate, the dross leaves, all that mental, emotional garbage around you didn't even know you had until it's gone. Like The Big Yellow Taxi by Joni Mitchell.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
just thought of something. Everybody's doing hot yoga.
Yeah.
You know? And I tried it. I could only get through. I had like a pass for 10.
Right.
I did 3.
Yeah.
And I would just pray for that fan to waft over me just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was the 3rd one. Afterwards, I felt really great, but I couldn't handle the heat.
Yeah.
This I can handle.
Right.
Have you felt his core temperature yet? Feel his hand real quickly.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. A lot of people with MS,
Yeah.
they say, I'm not, my doctor said I'm not supposed to get hot. But they go in here and it's very therapeutic.
Right.
Have you ever gotten a sunburn?
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do when you have a sunburn, they think, is to go into there. But I prod them in there with a sunburn pain of 74 different people, and each time the sunburn pain has gone down to a 0. One 1, the other 3 with 0. Who would have think? See, overdose of ultraviolet light, it's an imbalance, and the far infrared is the antidote. Okay, you have EMF, microwave exposure. See what this is? It's a microwave device. You have Wi-Fi in here. The EMF from this cell phone is 100 times more dangerous than the EMF from any household appliance. This actually undoes the damage done by previous exposure to EMF. And it also, it undoes the damage. And it doesn't, people go, as a matter of fact, there's a guy in Oklahoma, he takes the radiator out and puts it in his room and says it gets rid of all the EMF in the room, and it makes the room into a therapy room. And we're finding out a lot of information about this as we do more and more research. This, my science director says, this invention of the Relax Sauna radiators, and here, see what that is? Those are semiconductor chips. We took it out of the radiator. That's the magic. And that takes the electricity and only gives you the pure. See, Bruce Lipton talked about the membrane of the cell being the brain, and it happens to be a semiconductor chip, which means it's a filter. It only lets in what's good and doesn't let in what's bad. That's what a membrane is supposed to do. And so this filters out, and it's the only sauna in the world that uses semiconductors. That's why it's magical. That's why it's octaves, light waves ahead, no pun intended, it's light waves ahead of any other technology. But if you spent $6,000 for a wooden sauna, and I'm telling you that this $1,500 sauna on sale here at the conference, and after I'll let you know at the end of the talk, and go on the booth, we're having a special conference price. But this one is $1,500 online, and you just bought a $6,000 sauna, and I'm saying this one will put your sauna to shame. That's hard to take. And people go by the booth, these doctors, they've had far infrared saunas. Now, Dr. Robert O. Young has had saunas for 35 years. He's one of the innovators. And which sauna does he use? I use the Relax Sauna. And he talks about the interstitial fluid and how this cleanses it. And he wrote the book pH Miracle. And he's one of the most famous doctors in the world about what's going on in the craziness here, one of another dozen. Dr. Brian Artis, Dr. Judy Mikovits, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Carrie Madej, Dr. Paul Thomas, Dr. Larry Pilevsky, Dr. Robert O. Young, Dr. Sandra Michael talks about the EE systems. They use the Relax Sauna after they do the EE systems. One lady, was in it all night, and she came out exhausted. They put her in the Relax Sauna, and she was rejuvenated. It helps you detox. So we have a lot of people. Dr. Klinghardt, who introduced the dangers of EMF, microwave EMF, to the Western world. He uses the Relax Sauna. His partner at an autism conference took the Relax Sauna up to their booth, to their hotel room, and her elbow pain she had for a year gone. They have access to a dozen different energy medicine devices. You got PEMF, you have microcurrent, you have infrared laser, you have red light, you have ozone, you have hyperbaric oxygen chambers, all great products. They're all great, they all have their place, but none of them have as their purpose to increase body temperature and to create a fever, and fulfill the dream of Hippocrates to cure you of any disease. So far infrared ray energy saunas, they're like a unique place in the world of energy medicine. Tesla, the future, how many more minutes? Okay. The future of medicine is energy medicine, is frequency. Jacob Lieberman, he wrote a book called Something About Light. He's an eye doctor. Edison, again, the same thing. So here we are. My name is Philip Wilson. My email is phil@relaxsaunas.com. The website is relaxsaunas.com. That's plural. We have the booth number 40. We have 4 saunas set up. You go in for 5 to 7 minutes and magic happens in your life. You fall in love, and it's not exclusive. No one else has to worry. If you want intimacy, you get one sauna, you sit in here, you get the other sauna here, you look into your beloved's eyes and sweat together. That's intimacy.
His and hers, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's right. In this world, you never know, but anyway. Or you do, you always know, you're just not necessarily aware. I changed it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also, you know, there's more than one way to feed a cat. See, I changed it. You can feed two birds with one hand. I changed it.
Yeah.
See, I see my name of my book is Pictures of the Mind. I'm giving a talk. Here's my commercial. Tomorrow at 5 in room 6, I'm giving a talk on my book, Pictures of the Mind, Freeing Yourself from Beliefs that no longer serve you. And that's what I'm here for. And this is, see, but there is a way that I promote divine love in a box and get people to open up their hearts and experiencing, oh my gosh, and that's going to cleanse their body, purify it. And I didn't get to say it, so I'm going to say it now. When the far infrared light from the sun, it goes to the sand, 2 inches, and resonates with water and turtle eggs, and activates the embryo to grow into a turtle. And now you know how her turtles hatch. Chickens cheat.
Yeah.
You know, it's life. So anyway, I've had a lot of fun, and I suspect that most of you had a lot of fun listening, and that's the goal in life, to have joy. This gives you joy more than any other sauna, and we want you to go home with a sauna, okay? So anyway.